right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. So we're starting our session here today on our hose assemblies and crimpers best practices training. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining us because it is a very difficult time. And I hope all of you are well as your family and friends. I'm Lucy Chen. I'm the marketing director here at Zemarc. And today our special training will be with two of our fluid power specialists. So these are the items that we're going over today. But before we get started, I do want to give a quick background on Zemarc. Like I said, we have two fluid connector specialists with us today. Daphne Kai, who is a fluid connectors territory manager for Parker Hannifin, and also Juan Gerardo, who is the fluid connectors product manager at Zemarc. They both have extensive knowledge on different fluid connector products. They know the ins and outs. So if you have any questions on hose fittings and other connector products that you use every day, feel free to enter them into the chat box on the left-hand side as we present, or feel free to contact us at any time after the presentation. So if you're aware, we also have some giveaways at the end of the training, so make sure you stay tuned and I will call out 3 different winners. Let's get started with some background. Zemarc was established in 1976, and we have over 40 years of successful experience in this industry. Zemarc is a fluid power distributor, meaning we provide industry-leading fluid power solutions like cylinders, pumps, motors, valves, accumulators, and of course the fluid connectors that we're talking about today. We have 4 different locations across California, which includes Los Angeles, Oxnard, which is in the Ventura area, Fresno, and Hayward. We also have representation out in Arizona, and our sales rep there can support anyone that has needs. Los Angeles and Oxnard are our 2 Parker stores, and we have an extensive inventory through both of those locations. We also have hydraulic service centers in Los Angeles and Fresno, and our test bench can support up to 100 horsepower as well. So we're here to support you with many of your needs. Powerful ideas do start here at Zemarc. So I want to give you an overview of some of the services that we have because Zemarc is an authorized distributor and service center for a lot of the brands you recognize, like Parker Hannifin, Enerpac, Lincoln SKF, Delta, MTS. We do also provide full service design, build, and repairs on a wide variety of solutions like power units, cylinders, pumps, and motors. So if you need any support on these systems, just know that we do have the inventory to do that through our Parker stores and all our locations. And all our locations are able to assist with same-day, quick, complete hose assemblies if you don't have a crimper of your own. So being a full-line distributor for Parker, we can help with your full applications instead of just a portion of it. And we also have an engineering team that's excellent at supporting interoperability in your systems. Today, we're just focusing on the fluid connectors and some of the crimping best practices, but just definitely know that we have support for custom hydraulic power units and cylinder solutions and more. So before we get started, I do have a couple of questions for everyone here today. So let me pull up the poll here. You can just click on through. The first question I want to ask everyone, this will help us really kind of get down to what type of level you guys are at. So Daphne, when she's doing the training, she can give you a little bit of a better idea. She can give you a better idea of exactly what to do. So I'm seeing you guys are answering the polls already, but the question is how familiar you are with crimpers. The first option is not very familiar, or you never used it. Second option is you're familiar, but maybe not have been trained on it, or maybe you don't even use it regularly. And the third option is that you use it quite often. So go ahead and answer the poll, and then I'm going to show the results. I am seeing most people here are familiar. So let me show this here. yeah, most of you guys are familiar with crimpers, but maybe you not have used it or not have been certified or trained on it specifically. So this training today will be ideal for that. But of course, if you guys need further training, Zemarc is here to support you, and just give us that request. The second question that we have for you today is, what brand of hose and fittings and equipment do you currently use? So this is just go ahead and type it in on what you know. If you're not sure, you can state that as well. But it's just a good idea for us to know what you're currently using, whether it be Parker or not. So then we have a better idea of how to assist you. I'll give you guys a few minutes to answer. So I'm getting quite a bit of answers of people stating that they are using Parker. So that's fantastic, because it's an excellent product, and it is very much industry leading. All right, so let's proceed to the training and get started on what we have for you today. So Daphne will go ahead and take it away.
Hi everyone, this is Daphne. Thank you guys for joining today. So we're going to go through some of the agenda today. We'll start with choosing the right product. So you guys may be familiar with Stamped, but to start, this is how we determine the correct hose and fittings for your application. So Stamped stands for size, temperature, application, media, pressure, ends, and delivery. So those are the metrics that we look at for any system to determine what hose and what fittings apply. And then in the bottom right corner, you'll see a website, zemarc.com/wall chart. So we have available these poster-sized wall charts that give that show off our different series of hose and fittings. So you can put these up in your store or in your next to your crimpers. So just something to keep in mind. So next, it sounds like some of you guys are already familiar with the Parker product. So today we're going to talk about the Global Core line. So these are our constant working pressure hoses. This is what most customers use with our equipment. So the constant working pressure hoses, as you'll see, the different series maintain the same pressure regardless of size. So we offer this from 1,000 PSI to 6,000 PSI. And then the chart on the bottom you'll see shows which fittings pair with our hoses. So our 43 series and our 77 series fittings pair with all of the hose series. So this really reduces your inventory and you're not having to pair so many different types of hose and fittings and carry a lot of product. So next we'll talk about choosing the right crimper. So we offer some different styles of equipment. So you'll see here we have listed the Carry Crimp 2, and the Par Crimp 2. So I'll kind of touch on the differences between all the equipment. And just keep in mind that, you know, if you do need help, obviously Juan and I are here too to help assist you to figure out what equipment would be best for your needs. So to start, our Carry Crimp is available in a bench mount or as a portable unit. So this crimps hoses up to 1 1/4, and it crimps steel and brass fittings, but not stainless steel. And it's available with electric or air over hydraulic or a hand pump. Our next crimper is the Carry Crimp 2. So this is also available as a bench mount or portable unit. It is pretty heavy, but this crimps hoses up to 1 1/4 as well. But the difference here is that it crimps steel, brass, and stainless. And then this is also available with electric, air over hydraulic, or hand pump. Our next offering is the Par Crimp 2. So the difference with this one is that it crimps hoses up to 2 inches. So if you need the larger assembly sizes, this is the unit that you would use. It's available as a floor or bench mount unit, and then this also crimp steel, brass, and stainless steel fittings. So one other crimper that we do offer that was not on the initial slide is our Parker Mini Crimp. So this crimps up to 1-inch hose, and this we typically see customers have maybe on a service vehicle. It's a lot more lightweight and portable. And then this does crimp steel and brass fittings, but it does not crimp stainless steel fittings. So next, we'll talk about the steps on crimping your hose and some best practices. So normally we would do a hands-on training, and so I do want to mention that we can offer that still as well. Just the current times right now, this is our best alternative, but of course, if you guys do request on having a hands-on training, it is the best way to get certified and kind of see the steps. But this will go through essentially everything you need to know. So to start, you want to choose the correct tooling and then make sure you have the correct hose and fittings for your application. So one of the key things that you want to remember when you are starting is that you want to mark your hose. So you'll see in the image the animation that we offer these insertion blocks that you can use. But if you don't have the insertion blocks, you can even use just the fitting. So you'll line up the fitting with the hose, and then you'll mark where the fitting should be inserted, or at what point it should be inserted to. So this is important because there are teeth along the inside of the fittings that crimp into the hose. And the last tooth at the end of the fitting is what has 80% of the holding power. So if you imagine that you're not inserting the hose all the way and you're missing the last tooth, then you're really missing 80% of the holding power, which would could cause a failure or a blow off. So this is a really important step. And so this is just one thing that we want to make sure everyone remembers when they start out. So selecting your die and your other tooling. So these charts are usually decals that are available on the equipment. And you'll see here, this helps you choose your correct hose and fitting. So you want to make sure that those pair from the start. And so you'll see in the chart, you'll start on the left column and then go to the right down the row. So for example, if we're in the first row, you have your hose and your fittings, and then you will go based upon what size you're using. So for example, let's say a -8 assembly is what we're making today. One thing I will want to note is that all the dies are color-coded. So they are color-coded by the sizes. However, if you are carrying different series of hoses that are using different series of fittings, there are different series of dies, and they are still labeled, they are color coded the same per size. So just something to keep in mind if you guys have multiple sets of dies, that you can base it off the color, but you want to make sure that you're still using the correct die for the correct hose and fitting series. And so they are labeled with the part numbers. So just something to keep in mind. So if we're doing a -8 assembly, you'll see there's two numbers in the box that we'll touch on later. Those are specs that we'll want to follow. And then this tells you that you want the blue die, that's the ADC-A08. And then you'll use this chart later to check the specs. So when you're ready to crimp your assembly after you have inserted the hose into the fitting, you'll put the die into the bowl on the crimper, and then you'll insert the assembly from the bottom. So we have this feature on all the dies called the Parker line, and essentially it is a lip that's on the inside of the die that you'll see kind of in the image here. And once you push past the fitting, past that part, it'll catch when you're pulling on it. So this is kind of to ensure that you're really not having to do any guesswork of where to position your assembly. It kind of takes out any sort of error. So once you have that seated on the ridge, then you're ready to crimp your hose. So next, depending on what crimper model you have, you're going to actuate the ram with either a joystick or a button on the crimper. But once you have it seated, you're going to actuate it and then fully extend the ram, and it'll crimp the assembly. So the last step is checking your work. So like I mentioned, the chart has those two values that you want to look at. And we suggest taking a pair of calipers, and you'll want to do measurements around your fitting. So you can do a visual inspection. So typically if something is very wrong, you can probably tell by the ridges on the fitting, they look incorrect, or there's a bulge. Those are kind of the first visual inspections you can do. But when you want to take a pair of calipers and do a couple measurements. So we recommend 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom of the fitting around on the flat edges. And then as long as your values are between those 2 specs, then you know that your crimper or that your hose assembly is in spec. So last, we want to talk about some accessories and some useful links. So as far as accessories, some things that I mentioned, the dies and the insertion blocks. We also offer hose cutoff tools, a fitting push-on stand for larger assemblies. It's a little bit harder to push the hose into the fitting, hose cleaning kits, and die racks. So some websites that are useful, zemarc.com/crimpsource is a site that has really any information you need on the crimpers. You can put in your crimper model, and it'll come out with what hose and fittings. There's drop downs that will come out with what styles of hose and fittings that it can crimp. And then you can also create custom decals. So like I mentioned, each unit comes with a decal. Typically, nobody uses all of the series that are listed on there. So you can create your own decal that maybe just has the few hose and fitting series that you use, and it's a lot more straightforward, to see your specs and everything. And then the last 2 links are zemarc.com/hosefinder and zemarc.com/fittingfinder. And those 2 sites are good for determining what product you might need. So it'll go through asking you to input information like we mentioned in STAMP, and it'll output what series of hose and fittings that you need for your application. So next one, we'll let you know how you can get a crimper at no charge.
Thank you, Daphne. That was very resourceful information. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juan Jurado. I am the product manager for Zemarc Corporation, and we wanted to get the proper information over to our customers as far as getting a crimper at your location at no charge. It's very simple. We just even if you have current inventory that's competitive brand, or if you have an old crimper, Parker or whatever brand it is, we would be able to help you with placing one at your location at no charge. We have programs in place where like I mentioned, we can do stock lift programs. We can do on-site training and get you the new crimper, get you the new inventory, and like we have on this slide, it's switch today. It should be pretty easy, right? We also have rental programs. So if a crimper lease agreement is not something you want to do, and you have a job on site and you just need it for a week or so, we could rent that to you. All we would need is specifications on the ID of the hose, the pressure, and your power supply, and we would be able to get that to you. We also can do the online training or on-site training. I'm available, and if required, Daphne, like she mentioned too, would be available to do the training. Other useful products is we have the Parker adapters, we have pneumatic adapters, and we have quick disconnects. So it's not just limited to hose and hose and ends. It's we have quite a bit of other offerings. So as you can see on this slide, there's quite a bit of items we could add to the list. With that being said, are there any questions?
Yeah, so thank you, Juan. Thanks, Daphne. That was very good information, and I'm glad that you guys were able to help us with the training today. So like Juan said, we're going to be taking some questions. So just go ahead and follow the left-hand side, the question chat box, and enter them now. So while you guys do enter your questions, I'm going to do the raffle. But before I do the raffle, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a briefer of how to reach out to us. So here's some different ways. You can go ahead and email us at sales@zemarc.com. We're very quick to reply, and we'll assist you with what you need within the same day. And then also you can also reach out to us via chat. So you can go to zemarc.com/chat, or you can go onto our website, zemarc.com, and just look for the small green bubble on the bottom right-hand corner. We're very friendly on the chat. Usually I do pick up myself, so feel free to say hi if you have any questions that you can think of afterwards. You can also call our main switchboard, and that's at 323-721-5598. Our hours of operations are as normal, which is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. So some of the other useful links that we have are zemarc.com/FCG, and you can see the different food connector products that are available and download the full catalogs there. If you're unable to find something specific, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be able to get you what you need. You can also go to zemarc.com/Parker Crimper, and that will actually show you the hose assembly instructions step by step. It'll list out the different catalogs that are available for equipment and also give you a link to CrimpSource, but you can also visit zemarc.com/CrimpSource, and that will link to that directly. There are also a sheet on just some simple care tips that you can follow as well. And don't forget that you can download the wall charts at zemarc.com/wallchart. There's a form on there for you to request some wall charts for your facility as well if needed. They are at no charge, so just feel free to reach out to us if that is the case. So, all right, I have all the attendees here in my random generator. So we have 3 different prizes here today. I have a t-shirt and also 2 different goodie bags. The t-shirt does also come with their own goodie bags as well. So there's a really cool measuring tape, a face mask from Zemarc, and then also some engineering graph pads, as well as some chrome-plated and silver-plated Zemarc pens. So the first name, I'm going to do a drum roll here. Winner is Andy Mack. And you'll be getting the goodie bag with the t-shirt. I'll be sure to reach out to you and get the appropriate information. So congratulations, Andy. So I have 2 more prizes, which are just the goodie bags. The first winner of the goodie bag is Rodolfo Acevedo. So Rodolfo, I'll go ahead and reach out to you about your goodie bag. And then the last winner here today is Miguel Paz. So congratulations to our 3 winners. I'll be sure to reach out to you. So let's go ahead and take some questions. The first question we have here, either Daphne or Juan, you can answer this. It says, do you provide training for crimping metal braided hoses with 3 to 4 inch diameter?
That is actually a specialty item. And how do I say this? It takes a special crimper to do that. Zemarc in LA has the capabilities of doing them, but we would have to review the request and see what the options are, and what capabilities the customer wants to have before we could answer this completely answer this question.
Right. So thank you, Juan. We'll be sure to reach out to you specifically.
Yes.
I believe Adi, who asked the question about what your requirements are. If need be, I believe we could do trainings at our facility, but it just depends on what the requirements are. Right, Juan?
Correct. Yeah. Just if the customer can reach out to me, I will talk to him personally on the phone and get more information and then move forward.
Sure. Sounds great. We have another question here, which is how much are the crimpers? I believe it's a cost question.
It all depends on what the customer's requirements are. So if you want to go from like 1.25 inches to 1 inch, then it would different. It would be different than if you wanted to go from 1.25 inches to 2 inch. So we would have to get that information ahead of time, and to be able to get a price on what the customer's requirements are.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, I believe we have one more question here. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to ask them as we have this last question here. The last question I have is, what are the usual lead times and availabilities of the hose and fittings you mentioned? So I believe that's the 44 and 77, along with the global core that we mentioned.
Yeah, we have a pretty good inventory in the Los Angeles location. We also have the Oxnard and the Hayward branch, and Fresno location, just as backup. But Parker has a stocking warehouse in Buena Park, which we use quite often. Second choice would be for Parker would be Portland, and worst comes to worst, we would use the Kentucky location. So there's inventory is there. It's just a matter of what is needed and how fast it's needed.
Great, thanks, Juan. So I believe that's all the questions we have. So an email will go out with Juan's contact information if you guys have any questions. A replay of this entire training will be available on there, and there will be additional hyperlink resources and guides as well in that email. So look out for that in the next 24 hours or so. Feel free to reach out to us at our regular contact information at zemarc.com or our phone number 323-721-5598 or sales@zemarc.com. I hope all of you guys stay well throughout this time, stay safe and healthy and happy, and we'll see you in the next training in July.
Great, thank you.